So I'm here right now on the Wheels and Waves podcast with Elise. I don't want to butcher your last name, so do you want to go ahead, say it
Sure.
properly, introduce yourself?
Elise McCormack-Kuhman.
Cool. And do you want to just give like a little bit of background about how you started working at Wheels and Waves back in the day, how that kind of unfolded?
Yeah, sure. It was actually, this was all the way back in 2016.
Oh, wow.
I know I'm old, but I was senior year of high school. Wasn't really a surfer, but I was super into like tinkering and like building stuff. And so I came into the shop like it was a super like rainy off-season day. I was like, where is everyone? Like it's like amazing here if you haven't like been in here before. And I was like, I see that you guys are hiring. Can I work for you?
You're just like, let me get a job. Yeah.
Let me get a job. And then Vic, the owner, was like, oh, we're only hiring bike mechanics. And I'm like, how hard could it be, you know? And that worked. So they hired me, started working on the bikes, started working the shop, kind of got into surfing that way, and then just made a career.
Was it like hard for you, kind of like getting into the scene, not having a lot of background, or what was that kind of like?
You know, it was at first like people would ask about boards or like skate stuff, and I'd be like, let me go grab someone for you. I have no idea. But I feel like you kind of just like dive head first, and then you like learn on the fly. And then like I started surfing a bit, and I was like, oh, okay, I see what this is about. You know, I see why people like this. And yeah, I mean, I try to come back like every season, do a couple days at least. So
low key, I feel like you could kind of get into surfing with like an engineering kind of mind, just like, okay, like I gotta wait this many minutes before I paddle out, like just judging the right point to paddle out. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like you'd be able to say more than I would about that, but I feel like engineering and surfing, low key, kind of go hand in hand a little bit.
Yeah, like for me, it's especially like the wave mechanics. So, like the stuff I do now is all like fluid dynamics. So you're like looking at how the wave is breaking, like how the swell is coming in, like all the different factors that are like at play to create the wave. And I kind of got into it that way, like just the reading waves aspect, because I grew up like on the ocean, you know, just swimming and stuff. So I've always like liked doing that part of it. And then I'm just like, oh shit, like I can like engage in it and surf it too. So yeah, it's just been like a really good fit, really natural fit.
Yeah, speaking of that, like how was it kind of, getting to do that for a living, like literally getting to work with waves, for a living? Because Vic was saying that you worked with Slater, right?
Yeah, I was at Kelly Slater Wave Co. for like 4 years, and then now I'm at Endless Surf, which is another wave pool company up in Vancouver. So yeah, like it's funny, like when I went into college, I was really thinking more like aerospace track, even though I was already into surfing. Like I didn't even realize that I could like kind of go down this avenue. And then it wasn't until after I graduated, like into COVID, I saw an opening at Waveco, and I was like, shit, like that's like two of my biggest passions. I might as well give it a shot. And then yeah, I just fell in love with it, and now it's the only thing I want to do with my degree.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting for someone like me who, who graduated from college not too long ago to sort of hear that like your interests can kind of intertwine with like what you do for a living. How, I guess, did that sort of like influence, you eventually going to pursue an engineering path that's like allowed you to do this?
Yeah, I think like what I credit it to is at the school I went to, there's this project design class where you basically like try to pitch a bunch of different product ideas and then build it and then like see if you can make like a viable product. And the one that I sort of strong-armed my team into doing was a modular surfboard, because I'm like, yo, like this would be sick. Like,
oh, wow.
One board, so many different lengths, like, because I was sick of like, I have my longboard and I have my mid-size and I have my shortboard, and if I'm going on a trip, like, how do I pick, So, sort of did like this design with it, and that was my whole senior year. And then I was thinking I would just like leave it in the past, but then COVID hit, and I was like, well, I have nothing else to do, so I might as well try to do a startup with it. And then, like, I was like, oh, I really can do, like, engineering and surfing. Like, there's ways to do this, you know? And then, yeah, it just kind of ended up here. And now I'm, like, not accepting to do anything else, you know?
That's amazing. And you went to MIT, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How did being down in Boston kind of influence that, or did it not?
Yeah, I mean, it sucked a little bit, like, because they have a couple beaches that have waves, you know, like up by Nahant or like Newburyport and stuff. But even that is a bit of like a hike. So when I was in school, like I didn't have time to surf at all. The only time I would have like to surf was like my summers, and then if I was really bold, like winter break, you know. So it kind of like sucked in that sense, but I was so busy doing other stuff that like it didn't really like affect me too much, I guess, other than like make me want to get back in the water like as soon as I could. So
right.
In that sense, it was nice.
That makes sense. Do you think that's sort of like the route that people should kind of pursue? Like people who are kind of like in college have sort of like an interest and they're kind of like, well, I'm not really kind of able to pursue this now that I'm at college. Like maybe I should just sort of focus on school. Do you find that like you just sort of naturally found your way back into the surf world, or was it like always in the back of your mind?
Yeah, I feel like for me it was quite natural, and honestly, I got super lucky. Like that there was an opening, and technically I wasn't qualified for it, but I was like, oh, I'll shoot my shot, you know. I think you kind of have to really like, or like in most cases, you really gotta like force your way back. Like if you're taking that time away to go to school, that's great. Like, you know, if that's what you're into, you should do that. But try to do like little projects along the way when you're in school that can like connect you back to like what your passions are. And then yeah, once you're graduated, like really just go hard and try to force your way back into whatever industry it is that you want.
That makes sense. You've done a lot of traveling recently now.
Oh yeah, I'm a big traveler.
How has that kind of influenced your view on surfing?
Oh my god, massively. Like growing up, I only ever surfed like wells. Well, you know, only ever was around like wells, you know. And so through college, like only surfed wells, and it wasn't until I moved out to California, like after I graduated, that I was like, oh shit, this is a whole different ballgame. Like, and honestly, it made me way pickier. Like when I'm choosing like where to go, I'm like, ugh, I don't like the crowds. I'm like, ugh, like I don't like.
You come back to wells and you're like, oh
I'm like,
my god.
Yes, honestly, like it's weird because I didn't realize how good we had it like here, you know. And then now I'm like, you know, Brazil. Like I only ever want to surf in Brazil, so it's strange. Like even, you know, when you're a bit younger or like just getting into surfing, like you'll go every single day just because it's like, oh, even if the waves are shitty, like I'm excited to go out and do
right.
it.
You just go out.
Yeah, now it's a bit more like, you know, like it's a little cold today, or like, you know.
Did you happen to see the waves today? Like, did you go out?
Yeah, I went out. I do a lot of surf photography, so
nice.
I was out taking photos this morning, and then I went for a little surf as well. Yeah, oh my god, the hurricane season is psycho.
I'd be curious to hear your perspective on like how the waves today kind of stack up to everything you've seen. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think that honestly, I think that Wells is an underrated spot. Like when it's good, it's fucking good. You know, like I surf over by the jetty, and I find that the waves there, like I was getting some like nice long rides. Like it was really like the wall was really opening up. Whereas, like, some of the spots up in Brazil, California, like, it's a much shorter ride. Obviously, we don't have days like that very often, you know? But, yeah, I love it out there.
That's the one thing I've noticed about California. It seems like the waves, they break so much closer to shore.
And way more, like, powerful. Like, you look at it and it seems like it's smaller, but then you fall and it pulls you for a while. Like, I feel like the waves here, yeah, like when it's a hurricane, they're way stronger. But like if it's just a normal, like big-ish day, like they're pretty mellow still, which I like because I'm a longboarder, so
Yeah.
I don't want to be like rolling and rolling.
Absolutely. I feel like this is a spot to be, like, if you're into longboarding. It's like California, when the waves are big, like, you gotta break out a shortboard.
Yeah.
You gotta break out a
You don't know
shortboard
what
for
you're
sure.
doing.
I actually paddled out today on a 6'4", and I'm usually like you. Like, I have a 7'2" that I love riding.
Yeah.
But it was kind of interesting because, like, I don't typically ride boards, like, that short.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, I can, but, you know how the waves around here are.
Yeah, you don't usually. And so it's like, if you're used to one board, probably want to be riding that one more often, you know?
Yeah, but it's so funny. Like, you go down to the beach on a day like today, and you see people who look like they should be surfing in, like, some other place, you know? They're just turning
for good and for bad.
They're turning all over the wave, like, for good and for bad. Yeah, there you go.
I saw a few people going out. I was like, oh, maybe not the day to rent a board and try surfing for the first time.
Absolutely. It was funny. Yesterday, someone came in to the shop, and, you know, me and Vic were sitting there, and the guy was like, yeah, like, I want to rent a board. And Vic looks at the guy, and he's like, well, here's the thing. We have some of, like, the biggest waves going on that, like, we're ever going to get, like, in southern Maine. And, you know, it's kind of funny because people see the surf report and they see everyone out there.
It's green. Great video surf.
Exactly. But the thing is, it's like, if you're just starting out, like, if you're trying to get into it, you don't want to demoralize yourself by going out and trying to surf beyond your abilities.
Yeah, I know so many people, both, like, that I've given lessons to or just, like, friends that I know that, like, their first surf lesson or first time they tried surfing was on a day like, you know, today or tomorrow, like, where the waves are super big. And it ruins them for surfing for a little while, you know, because you just get rocked and then you're like, I hate this, and you are afraid and stuff, and it's just like, oh, that's not how you should learn to surf. You know, like, you want to enjoy it and, like, have it be mellow and, like, really, like, get excited, like, the first wave you have and stuff instead of, like, oh, my God.
And I feel like it's tough, too, because, like, people don't really, like, understand that, and there's no way for them to kind of figure that out. It's almost just like, oh, like, that looks so fun. Like, I want to try that. But it's like, well, there's a little more to it than that.
Work your way up,
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, you've taught surf lessons. Like, you know that, like, you know, kids will come in and, like, they'll be scared in, like, knee-high surf. So it's like...
It's like, you're going to try to take them out today? Like...
Yeah, and it's like, you want to go out in a overhead day, like, trying to surf a hurricane?
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot, for sure. It's a lot. I guess something I've kind of been wondering is, like, you work at a wave pool, obviously. You worked for Slayer's wave pool. Like, how are the waves there different than the ones that you see in the ocean? Like, are there, like, how is it duck diving? Like,
oh, well, you don't have to. You don't have to duck dive ever because it's kind of, like, I would say, like, it's almost similar to waves that, like, break and then you have, like, a channel because... At least, you know, like, I can speak to the Waveco, like, surf ranch, basically. When you're right by, like, the safety fence, that area is not breaking. So you just float over, like, it's just a swell, you know? And so it's sick because if your friend is there, too, surfing the wave, like, you have this perfect little, like, shot of them, like, surfing and then getting the barrel. But, so it's nice. You never have to duck dive, which is good. Even, like, you don't even really have to paddle back to your position because usually the jet ski will pick you up and, like, cart you back.
Wow.
And, yeah, falling's pretty mellow unless you fall, like, in the barrel area. So I've fallen in, like, the little end barrel that they have at Surf Ranch before, and that was intense. Luckily, like, didn't get hurt or anything, but I was definitely like, oh, that's a lot.
So it's a totally different way of, like, thinking about surfing.
Yeah, I'd say, like, one thing, you know, like, I love Surf Ranch. I think it's sick, like, sick wave to surf. It's super long, like, super fun. But I'd say it's pretty far from any ocean experience I have had. I know there's some waves in the world that you have those super long, like, rides, but, you know, it's few and far between. So, for me, like, surfing at Surf Ranch, very different from surfing in the ocean. which is like good and bad, you know.
Do you think it's a good place to learn or not really?
Yeah, I think it's a really good spot to learn actually. Because depends on how much money you have, I guess, you know.
It's expensive. Like
It's
they
super
open
fucking
it up to the
expensive.
public.
No, they don't open it to the public. They rent it out by the day, and it's very, very pricey.
So the way it works is someone has to like go there and be like, okay, I'm gonna rent this place out,
Yeah.
and then whoever they're like friends with or like allowed to come, like that's who gets to use it.
Yeah. Basically.
Oh my God.
And like they don't even let anyone rent it. Like you kind of have to know someone, you know? Like so it's tricky, and yet they're booked like all the time. But yeah, that's one of the things I really didn't like is it's definitely like an elite atmosphere, which I'm more about like everyone should surf, everyone like surfing for the public kind of thing. Just why I'm so happy to be like at Endless Surf because like I think like that's so much cooler because it's like you're making like it accessible to so many other people.
So for people who don't really know what Endless Surf is, do you mind giving a little bit of background about that?
Yeah, sure. It's a company owned by Whitewater West, which is like an amusement and water park company. And then, I mean, I don't have like all of the details, and I don't know how much they'd want me to share. So
It's very private, very exclusive.
yeah. It's not. So they do have like one wave pool that's open right now. It's in Munich, Germany. And then like if you look up on YouTube, you can see like the type of wave they have. They have a super cool air section like at the end. So I think that's sick. That's something that Waveco didn't really have that good of, you know. So yeah, like it's a pneumatic system, which means it's the air is used to produce the swell, you know, and then the water breaks because of the beach and the way you're running the pneumatics, so you have like the wave being pushed, you know, and then.
So is that a different? Is it? Oh wow.
Or you know, it's the thing about the wave pool industry is like everything is so IP, like you know, very protected. Like everyone keeps the technology super close to the chest.
So you're concerned that Wheels and Waves is going to open their own? And so
I don't know who's watching.
You think Wheels and Waves is going to open their own, and then you know your company's going to get mad at you.
Well, if they hire me to open it.
Okay, so
if Vic wants to build a wave pool, I'll be the CEO.
Oh, so there you go. You got a new job, third wave pool job.
Yeah, there you go. I'm just cycling through all the companies.
So how long ago did you leave Slater's wave pool?
Yeah, that was this past spring, so fairly recently. And then, I joined up with Endless a few months ago. You know, so.
And I'm sorry if I just don't get it. Like, so is that open to the public or no?
Which one?
Endless.
Yeah, that's open to the public. You can, like, rent out, I think it's like a 1 hour session, you know? And then
okay.
You're put in with a bunch of people, like, that.
Just random people.
Yeah, that also have that 1 hour session, and then to make sure you get some really nice waves.
So what part of it is, like, just how it works? Is that, like, the
like, what is like, the secret?
So.
Yeah, so it's the technology, and, like, you can talk about the basics, like I say, it's a pneumatic system, you know, it's like
right.
The wave is created by air. There's a couple different, you know, technologies of how the wave is created. You have like the plunger, which I think is a company called Surf Lakes, you know, the giant thing in the middle that like goes up and down. You have a pneumatic system, which is the air pushing the water. You have paddles, which are just like giant things that push the water that way. And then at Kelly Slater, it's a hydrofoil, so it's basically like a really narrow boat hull, and it's pulled through the water, and that's what creates the wave.
So when you left Slater, was it like a similar thing? Like, were you kind of like bound to secrecy on like some of the...
Yeah, for sure. No,
wow.
I can't and wouldn't, like, you know, talk about. And one of the things is, you know, when you're jumping from one wave pool company to another one, like, it is very much like, okay, you got to make sure you know, kind of purge your knowledge of like, the first technology because you can't use like that stuff like over again at a new company. It's super protected through patenting and also I signed my contract leaving saying like okay, I'm not going to use like any of this stuff like other than my knowledge of fluid mechanics and that kind of thing. They can't take that away from you, but anything to do with the technology.
So how if you were gonna go and like open your own, like would you even be able to use any of the things that you learned working for these places?
Yeah, it's so you can use things you've learned. Like for instance, when I started Kelly Slater Waveco, I didn't really know how to do CFD, computational fluid dynamics, which is basically using a computer to model like how the wave is going to form and break. It's used for other things too, but that's what you use wave pools for. So my knowledge of that is my own. Like yes, they helped me learn it, but they can't say, oh, you can never use CFD ever again, kind of thing. But I wouldn't be able to copy paste like, for that kind of software you have like a certain like setup that you're going to use. And so I wouldn't be able to like, oh, I'm going to use like this parameter and this parameter and this parameter and also do like a hydrofoil system, because that's infringement on their IP. So, but if you create like a new technology to create the wave, then yeah, I can use what I know about like bathymetry, which is like the bottom of the pool, and fluid dynamics, and like how to create a barrel, like that kind of thing. Just not like any specifics.
So is that
too much?
Yeah? So is that like kind of hard or like not really? Like would you
not
be
really? Yeah.
So there's still room for like people that kind of like do this within the surf industry.
Oh, okay, I see. So like coming up with a new technology to create the wave, that would be a little hard because everything is so patented now. You would have to create something pretty novel, or find your way to work around the patents. And I do imagine, like, if I was jumping, for example, from one pneumatic wave operating company to another pneumatic wave operating company, I think that would be pretty hard because it's so like similar that you kind of like need to be really careful with like what you're using and what you're not in terms of your knowledge. But for me, like there's very little crossover between a hydrofoil wave and a pneumatic wave,
right.
So it doesn't really cause any issue.
So have Slater, because of like all the IP stuff, have Slater and Endless kind of like cemented themselves as sort of like the only players in this area?
Yeah, Slater is definitely cemented in terms of like the hydrofoil wave. Nobody else is doing that, and it would be really hard to do something like that without like infringing on one of the patents. So they're pretty locked in with that one. Endless, we're locked in with like the way we run a pneumatic system. But there are other companies that use pneumatic wave pool technology. It's one of the oldest like wave pool technologies that exists. Like they were doing it back in the 80s and stuff.
Oh, wow.
So, if you see like I don't know, there's some like old wave pools, and so like a lot of those were pneumatic or paddle. So it is like I think for the ones that have been around a little bit longer. And where it's more of like, that's just parts at that point, like the motor that you're using and then how you're moving the air, It's hard to patent something like that because, like, that's used in so many different aspects of engineering, like pneumatic systems is one of like the oldest engineering concepts, so.
So there's still room for people to kind of expand in that way.
Yeah, and I mean, new wave pool companies are popping up, like, all the time, basically. So, how many of them get off the ground? Less, but there's now, like, a handful of ones that, like, are pretty good. The most famous probably being, let's say the Waveco, Wave Garden, now Endless Surf is really making a name. American Wave Machines, pretty big one in the U.S. I mean, Surf Lakes has that one, but Surf Lock I think also is one, but there's a handful.
That makes sense. I want to switch gears a little bit. Vic kind of told me this. Obviously Vic says hello. He wishes that he could say hi. He told me this story about how you used to read textbooks in the shop. Is that true?
Yeah, I would always anytime it was like rainy or like an off-season day as well, like in the fall or the spring, like or even the winter. Sometimes they would be open back a couple days, so I would do my homework. For sure, like
that's crazy.
Why not? I think especially when I was in college. Mostly I was here in the summer when I was in college, but still like studying, so I'd have to bring my stuff in, do a little work on the side.
Yeah, like
get paid to study.
Yeah, like the academic and the outdoor sports intertwined. How important do you think that is for kids to kind of have a balance in their life? Because obviously, you went to MIT, you have to have some level of intelligence aside from studying.
Bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really lucky and also worked hard for sure. But it's kind of sad, I wouldn't say I'm old, but I'm a bit older than the current, generation and stuff. So for me, I think college and studying stuff was pushed a lot more, as it's super important. And I think for where I am, definitely still important. But I do think that college is becoming less and less important,
Really?
For the current, I don't even know what advice I'd give to someone in high school now. I don't know. I guess we just
That's crazy.
I don't know. It's just it sucks. But I still think I loved my college experience. I think it's helped me a ton with the career that I wanted to get into. But if you're not looking to go into engineering and stuff, you probably toss up if it's worth it or not.
What would you say to kids who are sort of interested in engineering or something else, but kind of like you initially don't really have a lot of experience with action sports like surfing necessarily? Do you think there's a space for everyone in this field? What are your thoughts on that?
I think for the wave pool field in specific, it's interesting. There are a lot of people at the company I work for now and the company I used to work for that weren't surfers, or weren't surfers until they started working there. So there's definitely room for, if it's not a passion of yours, as long as you are able to kind of be open to finding a new passion, I think that could be cool. But I think now it's becoming so these jobs are so few and far between, especially on the engineering side, that you kind of have to want it super bad, and you probably don't want it super bad if you're not also super passionate about surfing and stuff. Maybe you luck into it, but all of the people that are on the younger side of things, all of the kind of newer hires at the wave pool companies that I've seen, have really had to push themselves into the industry, So yeah, if I'd say for anyone that's into engineering, you should definitely go and follow that, but find your own passion. If you're not super into wave pools, probably don't be going into wave pools, 'cause you just won't be that into it, But I'm sure you have some other passion that you can find the intersection of and push for that, I guess,
That makes sense. You kind of touched on something that I found pretty interesting. You said that you kind of have to be open to it.
Mm-hmm.
In your experience, with going to MIT and working for Slater's Wave Pool and Emma's, how important was it for you to just sort of be open to different things?
Yeah, it's interesting because by nature, when I was in high school, college, I was not I was super I decided I was gonna go to MIT in 7th grade, I guess it was. I was I had my first like tech class in middle school, and I was like, this is it. All right, life plan. Like, gonna go into engineering, become Tony Stark. Like, basically, that was like the goal from like middle school all the way through maybe like junior, senior year in college. And then I was like, I guess, yeah, it wasn't until senior year mostly that I kind of like changed around, sort of thing. And just, I don't have to do aerospace and like that kind of thing. There's so many other like forms of engineering. And then when COVID hit, like, honestly, the jobs were so scarce that, or scarce, whatever. Taught me. I'm not an English
Too much
major.
time in Canada. Too much time in Canada.
I corrected it before the English major did.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, like the jobs were so hard to come by that I was like, I guess I gotta broaden my horizons, apply to some other like non-aerospace companies. And I mean, I was always like, I was basically like refreshing the World Surf League website every day, like, because I knew like Elise, like it exists, like maybe they'll want to hire an engineer at some point. And then one day, like, it was actually after I'd already accepted another job, but it refreshed and it's like, oh, technical league.
So World Surf League has jobs on their website.
Yeah. You can go to the careers page and like, yeah, it's pretty like updated frequently. I mean, I know like on the Kelly Slater Wave Coast side, like very infrequent hires, but Surf Ranch is always looking for like new people, like to be surf guides or to like work hospitality and stuff at Surf Ranch. And then World Surf League, I think they have like, usually like 3 or 4 jobs on there.
Wow.
So
it's good for people to know.
It's good. You should
check
it
it's
out.
Good for me to know. It's good for
I
me
know
to
that
know.
like I've seen before like looking for like marketing people, looking for like social media people, broadcast people, like that kind of thing is more like WSL stuff. And then a bunch of Surf Ranch jobs as well, like if you're into hospitality, cooking, like surf guide, lifeguard, jet ski driver, those kind of things.
That sounds like a fun one.
Yeah.
That sounds like a fun one.
I do know, like, their team is insane, like, qualification-wise. Like, some of those guys, like, on the jet ski, like, they'll do one, or, like, a season in Hawaii or Tahiti, and then come to Surf Ranch. They do, like, a few months at a time kind of thing. So, like, super well-trained and everything. So I know it's competitive, but, might still take a shot, right?
Hey, why not? One last question that I have for you is, I guess after everything that you've sort of gone through, you mentioned that, you're back in town for 3 weeks and everything. How has your perspective on your home changed?
Ooh, I think that in a way I appreciate it more, like being right by the ocean, I have 2 brothers and they both live like in the area still, so having my family here, I don't go out much, but I swear like front porch and a gun quit is the best place I've ever gotten out. Like, I love
stellar piano
the piano vibe. Like, you don't get that like anywhere else. So I love that. Like, it's like the little pieces that you like kind of were normal to you like growing up, and it's like, oh, actually, like not many places have cool stuff like this. I will say, there's been like several shark sightings this summer, and I am terrified of sharks. So like growing up, I surfed here. I was like, you never see them, it's fine. And now that there's been a few, I'm just like,
that was definitely crazy.
I'd rather go down to Brazil, surf there where there's not many sharks in the area.
Oh, wow. I wouldn't have expected that.
I surfed with a penguin. Yeah, down in Florianopolis. That was a highlight.
Where is, for everyone watching like me who doesn't know where Florianopolis is, where's that?
Yeah, it's the south of Brazil. So you have like Rio and you have Sao Paulo, which is the ones most people like know, and then Florianopolis is down a bit on Santa Catarina Island.
And they have penguins and
in their winter, there's usually like all the penguins are migrating down, and then they'll get like blown off course and like hit the island. And yeah, it was so chill. He was like not afraid of people at all, just like right next to us, just catching fish. And I'm like, this is so sick. So.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, if that's not a like postcard moment for Brazil.
Yeah, there you go. Sometimes when I paddle out in Maine during the winter, I kind of expect to see a penguin or a polar
Well, yeah,
bear.
the thing is, it's not. It's not nearly as cold as Maine is in the winter, so I'm like.
So it's just because of the migration path.
Yeah, it's just the migration. Like I was in like a long sleeve shorty while I was down there, and I was comfy most days. Like probably more comfy in like a 2-3, like when it's a little colder in their winter, which is our summer. But yeah, like not freezing by any means. You know, you don't need a hood, you don't need a 5'4" or anything. So
that also changes your perspective on just
I know.
really
now
having
like,
to suit up in your 5 mil. And
I used to go out so often in the winter, like to surf, and like love just like being the only person out there and freezing cold and stuff. And now I'm such a baby about it. So
I feel like there's something to be
so
said
don't
for
travel.
that.
Yeah.
Don't travel or you'll
Every
lose
travel,
it.
you'll lose your ability to bear the cold, I guess.
I guess that's the one drawback from it.
Yeah. Unless you're, well, I mean, I think it would be a drawback if I was like moving back here permanently. But I only come
Then you have to
once in a while.
readjust.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I can organize my schedule to only come in September.
When you don't need the fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, hey, Wheels and Wave podcast episode number 2. Elise, thank you so much for stopping by. We'll see you guys on the next one.